Agat Cancurla. Taoiseach, over the last 10 years, the National Broadband Plan has been talked about, and last year, indeed, yourself and other ministers signed the new contract, which is welcome, may I say. And the questions before we came on here was about broadband as well to Minister Humphreys. The work has started to begin in different parts of the country with this. Some people would say it's a heavy price or it's a good price that the main contractors have got, and probably it is, but I would always say that we need to get broadband in rural Ireland. That's the bottom line. But worryingly, Taoiseach, over the last couple of days, in different parts of the country, we have heard where there has been standoff with what we call the pollers, and the pollers are the people that put up polls. And there has been a standoff. Now, I know that there's some of them back on site again today. But also, Minister, or Taoiseach, that the first thing you do, ironically enough, is from poll to poll, where the hedgerows that we left out of our climate mitigation plans, the 6% of hedgerows around this country, you have to clip the top of them to make sure that the wire doesn't get cut. And unfortunately, around this country at the moment, 80% of the contractors have pulled off site, because what they are telling us is that the surveying is done wrong. The way it's added up is completely wrong compared with the other providers that we have in this country, and we all know them. And Taoiseach, what I am asking you, if this has cropped up already, which this is bread and butter stuff, this has cropped up already. There is standoffs. There are some parts of the country where there is a few contractors working. Other than that, they have all pulled off site. And if this is cropping up already at the beginning of rolling out the broadband, what things have the government put in place to, first of all, make sure that there's oversight over what's going on? To, second of all, from what I can see, we seem to have a main contractor that has the contract, doesn't seem to have a lot of gear or machinery, that subs it down, and then it's subbed down again, and maybe subbed down again. Is there anything in place to make sure that the ordinary contractor at the bottom of that ladder is protected and gets the proper price for the work they're doing? Or is this a big figure for broadband and screw everyone down along? What has the government put in place to make sure that those people are protected?
Thank you, Deputy Fitzmaurice.
Thanks very much, Deputy. I'm genuinely not aware of the dispute with the pollers that you mentioned, and I'll see Minister Ryan this afternoon, so I mentioned to him that it was raised here in the Dáil, and he might be able to inform me or inform you directly as to what the difficulty is. As you know, the contract is given to National Broadband Ireland, and they will employ and are employing subcontractors to do a lot of the work on the ground, and there is an oversight mechanism in the Department of Communications, or rather Department of Communications Networks as it now is, to make sure that this is project managed and driven and delivered. And we would expect that if the main contractor, NBI, is getting paid by the taxpayer, that they should honour any agreements that they have with subcontractors to make sure that the money goes down the line, and that they honour any contracts and commitments that they make with subcontractors. So we would expect that to happen. I think it is a good thing that the National Broadband Plan now is a reality. I remember being in that school in Wicklow, signing that contract, or being present for the signing of the contract, and I remember somebody saying to me that despite all the controversy, you'll never regret the day that you sign that contract. And I don't think we will regret it. I think it'll come in cheaper than the price, by the way. It's the reverse of the Children's Hospital contract. It can go down. It can't go up. So I think it's actually going to come in at a lower cost than the $3 billion, which was quoted at the time. And as you say, the work is now underway, and it's going to connect 1 million people across rural Ireland to high-speed broadband, over 500,000 homes, farms and businesses. And I think if the pandemic has taught us anything, is how essential this service is. Because people living in rural Ireland, running a business, running a farm, trying to access education, attending college from home, they need this service. It's as essential as electricity or water or landline phone lines in the old day. And I think it was the right investment that we made, and I think it'll pay off.
Thank you, Taoiseach. Look at it. I fully agree that I'm a supporter of the broadband right around rural Ireland because, especially with COVID, the amount of people that are able to work now from home, the quicker we can roll it out. If we could roll it out twice as fast, I'd be in full support of that. I want to be very clear on that. But the situation seems to be, and I know that you've said that it may go down in price, and that's great if it does go down in price. But the problem at the moment is that there are subcontractors that have basically gone away from it because they couldn't survive or make money on the rates that were being offered. The measurements or the surveys that was done seems to be absolutely ludicrous compared with what has been done with providers each year, going back the years where broadband has been done already. There are standards we need to do. There is no point cutting something 3 inches below it that you have to go at it again next year. There are standards that you do to make sure that, be it every 5 years, you go along. And the way this is starting at the moment, I worry about it, because this is the beginning of it. Funnily enough, the hedge cutter that goes along is the beginning of putting up the wire that will bring it to every home in this country. And if we can't get that simple bit right, or if we are getting contractors that are walking off because of the prices that's involved, there is something seriously wrong.
Thank you very much.
And I would ask you to talk to Minister Ryan. I will give you information later. I would ask you to talk to Minister Ryan to make sure that there's oversight for these people. They're entitled to make a living as well.
Conclude, please.
Thanks very much, Deputy. And if you can give me that information later on, I'll be happy to speak to Minister Ryan about it in the afternoon. And given what I've learned in the last week, I'll make sure whatever you give me is somehow scanned onto some sort of system, so nobody can accuse you of being informal or something like that.